Plaintiff Jeff Soper has been friends with the defendant for 10 years, but he says her life spiraled out of control after she started dating a heroin addict. Jeff claims after she broke up with a drug addict, she wrote a book that included some defamatory remarks about Jeff, so he's suing for defamation and rent. Defendant Heather Zehner says she never would have moved in with Jeff had she known what a partier he was. Heather claims Jeff was always bringing his drunk friends home, who would often try to climb into bed with her, and she denies owing him for anything.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Tell me what happened.
Heather and I have been friends for about 10 years until about February 2009, her life began to spiral down. She was a school teacher, which I believe she still is, but she was a straight edge school teacher who began to get herself mixed up with the wrong crowd. She started dating a heroin addict. And when she did that, everything in her life began to change. For the long time that I knew her before that, she seemed very straight and very good person. And then when she started getting involved with this guy, things just really went down. She even at one point wrote a book about himself and myself, which she made some stories up that weren't even true. And then she also got charges pressed against her by the heroin addict for...
Not true.
Yes, it is. She actually got charges pressed against her for harassment. And then when that happened, she still did not stop to stalk this guy. And when I tried to intervene to help her, there was, at some point, I couldn't even help her anymore. So I actually called her mother. Now, she was 37 at the time. I was 27, and I had to call her mother. And to my surprise, her mom said, "Jeff, this is not the first time this has happened." Her mom said that she actually had charges pressed against her before by a police officer.
That's
and
not
they
true.
dropped,
stalking?
yes, for harassment. But because he was an officer and she was a teacher, they dropped the charges. So anyway, long story short, I tried to help her as much as I can. And the only thing she did for me was she didn't pay rent for 3 months and she wrote bad about me in a book.
Ma'am, what do you want to tell me about the nature of your friendship, and you want to refute any of the things he's mentioned?
Yes, sir. I was never charged with any harassment suits or anything like that. Jeffrey and I were friends for about 10 years. And yes, I did unknowingly begin dating a heroin addict who went blind, and I thought I was trying to help him. I couldn't help him. He eventually went blind. But when you're in that situation, you become very codependent. It tugs on your heartstrings. You feel sorry for people.
Anything else you want to tell me about your friendship with him? Did he try and intervene? And
he was trying to be like a dad, like always like yelling at me about it and stuff like that. But Jeff is like a big partier too. So if you have never been around things like that, you don't always see it. But if you like party,
I've never been around things like that.
No, you
Never. Never been around people who party, never been around people who use heroin, never been around any of that.
Yeah, but had I known like Jeff partied as much as he did, and like the living situation with like sometimes like his friends would like try to crawl into bed with me. Like they'd all come home from the club, and I was like, Jeff, get them out of my room. Like, what is like wrong with this?
And what would you do when they would crawl
I told
in?
him to get out.
Okay.
I was like, I don't
So
want
is this true? You bring
couldn't
friends
find
home
anybody.
and they would jump into bed with your roommate?
She's not exactly explaining it the way it really is. She's very talkative and very nosy, so she would always come out of her room and acknowledge herself and meet people and start talking. So,
And they were drunk?
of course. So what do you think drunk guys are going to do? If a girl
Half
comes out
dressed,
talking?
walks out to a bunch of drunk guys,
Yeah.
negligee or whatever it is you sleep in. You come out in the middle of the living room with guys who just come from the bar.
Right.
I wouldn't come out like that, but like I'd go out to get a drink of water or whatever.
Yeah, sure. The club ends at 3 a.m. They get there at 4 a.m. and you just happen to need a drink of water.
Right.
It always wakes me up. I mean, they're also loud, like firing up the ATV at 2, 3 in the morning.
All
and
right.
just like always like having parties all the time. That's all it was, like constant partying. And I have to get up early in the morning and teach school.
Did he work?
No. I don't know how he gets money, and he has a lot of it. That's all I know. So
You need to find out. It's like you didn't know you had a heroin addict on your hands. You need to find out who and what you're dealing with.
I flip houses for a living, sir.
See, well, definitely you need to find out where he's getting money, from these days. If he makes his living flipping houses.
probably why we're here.
Go ahead, sir. Tell me how she owes you for rent.
Well, I'd also like to let you know, sir, that I was extremely upset when she says I was acting like a father. I kind of was a big brother to her because she upset me so much. I mean, she's a school teacher. She was so proud of herself because for years and years, I believe she had a 7 or 8 year track record of never missing a single day of going to school and being a teacher. And then when she started messing with this guy, I found out like she would even lie behind my back and tell me she was going to work. When I found out later, she was actually skipping out of going to work to go stalk this guy. She actually went to his parents' house for 3 and 4 days in a row, stayed at his house. He wouldn't even go there.
Did you stalk him?
No, I didn't stalk him. I took him to surgery. He wouldn't
even go home because he knew she was there.
His mother.
Did you try to follow him around?
No, sir. His mother was taking care of her 90-year-old mother who had Alzheimer's disease, and I housed that.
All right, but you never tried to follow him around against his will.
No.
She went to work without even telling them, or didn't go to work without even letting them know.
Let's get to the rent, sir.
So basically, long story short, she moved in about November 1st, 2008 is when she moved in. Things were fine up until about February. And then February 1st, March, and April were the 3 months that she didn't pay rent. On, March 1st.
Was she still working?
She was still working most of the time. I know she had a lot of like backup giveaway hours that she could have used to get her money. But anyway, long story short, I believe it was March 1st, I had her sign a promissory note saying that she was 2 months late on the rent and she planned on paying for the 3rd month as well, and all 3 of them on April 1st.
Had she been late on her bills before she started dating this dope fiend?
No, sir. She was...
Let's see what you have. Ma'am, did you pop off your money on this dope fiend buying him heroin?
No, I had lent him money.
Well, then, that answer should have been You said no. The answer should be
and there were a few times when he ripped me off. So.
Right. So why don't you think you owe this amount?
Just because of the living situation that I was in. There was no heat or air conditioning in the house. It's freezing. The constant partying,
That has to be a situation that you brought to his attention, and he continued to do it repeatedly.
Yeah.
When did you first bring it to his attention?
I don't exactly remember, Your Honor, but...
All right. Did she bring it to your attention and you continued to do so?
She liked it. She liked meeting the people.
She
liked meeting people. She didn't go out very often, so she liked...
She liked coming out and getting that water at night.
Definitely.
She liked coming out and getting
I have to get up for work in the morning, so I'm not going to go out the way he does. He doesn't have to get up for work. He can sleep all day, so I don't get to go out like that.
But you signed this, man. Why didn't you have those excuses that you're giving me now when he asked you to sign this? That's when you should have said, I'm not signing anything. I'm not going to pay you. I shouldn't owe you because I told you several times that the living situation was unacceptable. Take me to court and sue me.
Yeah, I shouldn't have signed it. I just did it just to shut him up, basically, get out of the house, and then move on with my life.
Not that easy.
But I did write this book, Torn Sneakers, and I know that's part of the reason why Jeff's mad, because he thinks I made a lot of money about this.
Dora wants to know, is that how to stalk people?
No, I wrote it because I wanted...
he wants to buy one.
I wanted to teach women to stay away from situations like the living situation I was in, and to stay away from men like that.
Now he says you defamed him in that book. Is that correct?
She did write quite a few things in the book that are not true. Some of them I don't really mind that much because they weren't that serious, but there were quite a few things in there that I don't appreciate whatsoever.
All right, you want to tell me, show me, read it?
Sure, definitely on page 20, that's about the most important one I can definitely find in here for you. It says, was arrested as a teenager for arson and for stabbing another man, which is totally not true. I was never arrested for arson or stabbing anybody. So the rest of the allegations in here about my many, many women and blah, blah, blah. That stuff's okay.
That's true.
That's okay. I can live with that.
Which is the #1 defense to defamation is truth. Ma'am?
I just know what I have heard from him talking about, and from his friends saying. I don't know about the arson and the stabbing. The rest of the stuff is definitely true.
Well,
I never
if you don't know about it, did you write in that book that he was convicted of arson?
I didn't use any real names or anything like that. I used all fictional names, so nobody knows that it's him unless he tells them.
How would they know it's you?
Sir, she had a book signing in Annapolis where we live, and let's see, my aunt, my mom, and about 50 of my friends that know her that know that she's told everyone. Believe me, everyone knows that's me in the book.
How do they know other than her telling them? How would they know by reading it if your name isn't in there?
Sure, there's definitely numerous times in the book where she said my roommate at the time, and she put dates in there when she lived with.
Did you do that?
Like I said, I used fictional names. We were roommates.
Did you,
I said, my
did you
roommate
mention
and I.
it was your roommate?
Yes.
And did you mention the time frame in which that occurred?
Yes. Yeah.
And you did admittedly write also about him in a different name having a bunch of girlfriends.
Yes. But I didn't write it to defame anybody. I just wrote it to teach. Like, I just wrote about the story about me getting away from the drug addict in order to try to teach other women about codependency and self-esteem and staying away from bad people.
And was it a fiction? That's
Parts,
the first
definitely
question.
parts,
Is
yes.
No. Is it published as fiction?
It's published as nonfiction, Your Honor.
So you publish it as the truth. Okay.
Yes.
Suppose I wrote a book about my experience as television judge, and I say, well, my bailiff, whose name is John Doe, was caught stealing money out of my dressing room. Who do you think they
They would know.
Yeah, they're gonna say that was Doyle. They're gonna say, I don't care what you call it, what name you use.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I didn't say it as fiction. I said it as truth. All I did was change the name and think that people weren't going to know who it was. You defamed him, ma'am. You defamed him. And
I didn't realize that when I wrote the book, and it was edited
Yeah.
by the publishers.
What do they say? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. And that's terrible because most people don't know the law.
No.
But the reason that is the case is because that would be everybody's excuse. I'm charging you with murder. I didn't know it was wrong to shoot him in the head.
Judge Mathis gives the verdict when we return.
$4,600. She certainly defamed you. And she also signed the note to pay you for the rent that was owed. So she sounds like she did you wrong. It's time for you to write a book now on her. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.
I just hope she does better. Hope she can get herself together and keep straight like she used to be.
We're not friends anymore. Ever since I moved out, we're just.
And that's fine too. I can care less if she's friends or not, but I've known her for so long. I kind of care about her. I hope she does good.